first chapter of Virtually Sleeping Beauty, my Sleeping Beauty retelling where she's trapped in a virtual reality video game and can't wake up in the real world. I am so excited for this. Basically, she's trapped in a VR game, a virtual reality game, can't wake up in the real world, and the Golden Knight has to enter the game and help her beat it in order to wake up in the real world and not die. Except he gets into the game and finds out she outranks him, so he's just there to be eye candy, and she has to save herself, and there's digital dragons and an evil magician and an evil queen and like all the things, and I'm so excited to read the first chapter with you guys. So real quick, let me read the blurb to you. I am going to put my blue light blocking glasses on so that I don't burn out my eyes, and I definitely gave myself a bit of a headache, but we're going to read these together, and I'm going to put it up on screen in just a second. So here's what you need to know. To wake her up, he has to enter the game and help her beat it. Surely the class president wouldn't illegally overjuice to stay inside of the virtual reality game citizens are allowed to play for 4 hours a day. But when Royce's aunt calls in a panic because her goddaughter hasn't left the game yet, his only option is to go inside the game and drag the girl out. The Golden Knight quickly discovers that the princess's absence in the real world isn't of her own doing. She's trapped inside the game by unknown forces, and if she can't escape soon, she could die for real outside of the game. He's even more shocked to discover that Rora outranks him inside the game, which means she'll have to fight to protect herself from the evils locking her inside a dangerous world. Can Rora and Royce work together to outsmart a vicious queen and evil magician and defeat digital dragons, or will Rora slowly fade away until there's nothing left but an empty shell and the game ranking she will leave behind? So today, we are reading the first chapter of Rora and Royce's story. We're going to read the first chapter of Virtually Sleeping Beauty together right now. Go ahead and drop who you are, where you're from, and if you've read Virtually Sleeping Beauty before, so that we can take a look at this together. And if you've got questions, I would love to get those answered when we are done with today's reading. This is indeed a cold reading, so bear with me. I haven't read this one in a while. Let's see what happens as we jump in. And P.S., how cool are those chapter headers? They are in color. So if you have an e-reader that shows color, even if you have an ebook, you can see them in pretty color. All right, here we go. I can't get her up. She sounds panicked. You can't what? I mumble. I can't get her up, Royce. You need to come over here and help me. She sounds like she's rushing around the room. Suddenly, I hear the sound of skin coming in contact with skin as she taps her goddaughter's cheek repeatedly as she tries to wake her. Would you relax, please, Aunt Perry? She's in a game. She'll be under for a while. That's just how virtual reality works these days. Once you're in the chair, you're out for up to 4 hours, depending on your settings. I jingle my keys to my car, trying to flip it to the correct one. It's ridiculous how many different keys I have to carry for my family. That's the problem, Roy. She's been in there since this morning. I glance at my watch. 3 p.m. What time this morning? A twinge of nervousness slips into my voice. I don't exactly know this girl, but the fact that she's been in there for over 4 hours has me concerned. 8? She was supposed to be out for lunch. We had errands to run. Perry murmurs something to the girl, this time slapping her harder. Perry, stop, I shout. That's not going to help. What about water? No, I bellow. Just stop messing with her. I'll be right there. I drop my coffee cup into the drink holder before slamming the keys into the ignition. The car roars to life, the red-hot beauty that she is, and I take off down the block. Aunt Perry's house is only a few streets away, but by the time I arrive, she's in the driveway waving hysterically at me. I take a deep breath to steel myself. Royce, I don't know what's happening, she sobs as she grabs my arm, pulling me toward the house. My coffee sloshes out of the mouthpiece of my container, dripping onto my hand. Good thing it wasn't that hot to begin with. We stumbled up the steps clumsily as she pulls me into the house. My father's siblings have never been known for being great in crisis. She pulls me toward the stairs inside, and I manage to pull free of her so I can walk with my drippy hand on the banister. Calm down, we'll handle it, I demand a little more aggressively than I mean to. Perry looks close to tears. I'm sorry. We'll figure this out. I just need you to stop shouting. She nods, holding back tears. Okay, tell me what happened, I prompt. Rora has been staying with me this week while her parents are on their trip, Perry starts, gaining the tiniest semblance of the ability to speak. Once or twice in the evenings, she's played the game for an hour, but she always comes down to have ice cream with me before we go to bed. None of this is helpful, but okay. Because it's the weekend, she usually gets up early to play, so we had planned on her playing until 11, and then we were going to go get lunch and run some errands. When I came to check on her a little after 11, she was still in the game. I assumed she started late, so I gave her an extra hour. She tugs me over to the sleeping girl in the chair, sniffling. It's been hours, Royce. I can't wake her up. What do we do? Some people have been known to take extra injections to stay in longer, I offer. She wouldn't. She's too responsible for that. Perry gives me an impatient look. This is the girl who's the class president and works for charities and does all of her homework for the entire week before she even considers playing a virtual game. Rora wouldn't take extra injections when she knows it's against the rules. I'm just checking the comments to make sure you guys can see me. I'm glad you're still here with me. Some people are adrenaline junkies. They do it just for the rush. Maybe Rora is one of those girls who is super straight-laced in all the parts of her life, and this is her guilty pleasure. I can't say that it would be the worst thing in the world. I myself would love to stay in the games longer. Well, if that's the case, maybe we should call the medical team to come with her. I reply, turning to the door. Let them handle her. No, Perry shouts, racing after me. We can't. If something really did happen, we can't let them catch her. And even if she hasn't done anything wrong, her mother is going to kill me for letting this happen on my watch. Please, Royce, we need a better idea. I sigh dramatically. I don't like being at everyone's beck and call. Fine, there's one other thing we can do. Setting my coffee cup on the desk next to a few of the girls' binders, I walk back over to where she's quietly laying in the chair. She's still breathing, which is a good sign. Her fingers twitch slightly so I can tell she's playing the game. Other than that, she barely moves, a side effect of the injections that allow us to enter the virtual world and feel and experience everything inside of the game. I'll go in and find her, I announce. What? No, Royce, you can't. My aunt pulls on my arm. What if you get stuck in there too? I won't. I do this all the time. I brush her off. Go grab me an injection, would you? After an angry look, she turns and leaves to find an injection. Most people in the virtual reality system in one form... Most people use the virtual reality system in one form or another, so there are usually injections laying around everyone's house. The older generations use it to relax. Sometimes they go to a beach, other times they attend orchestra concerts or explore museums. The younger generations are more careless and they play high-intensity games. I tend to spend my time gaining skills I'll never use in real life as I leap from buildings and save damsels in distress. I climb into the chair next to her and roll up my sleeve. When I have my feet comfortably arranged at the end of the footrest, I lean back and make sure I like the position I'm sitting in. Perry walks back in and hands me the injection. I'm going to set the machine for an hour, but hopefully I'll find her right away. I need to get over to Alan's, so I don't have a lot of time to waste. Perry looks nervous, so I send her downstairs with an assignment of running her errands for the day. I promise to call her when I have her house guest back in the real world. She reluctantly agrees to leave, slowly walking out the door to the car. An empty house is the best for right now. I wait for her to drive away. The last thing I need is for her to come back in and have a meltdown and throw water on me while I'm in the game. I quietly study the girl's face while I wait so I don't accidentally miss her in the game. It's a little hard to see around her goggles, but it will suffice. I program the machine to take me to the game she's playing in. With the headset on, ready to be slipped over my eyes, I place my hand on the reader to identify myself and then inject my arm. I quickly put on the goggles in place and rest my hands on the arms of the chair. My vision goes black before crackling into a white burst of light. It fizzles out as the gamescape filters into place in front of me. Interestingly enough, Rora plays the same game that I do. That should make this easier. I glance down at my armor to make sure everything's in place. My weapons are just as I left them, attached to the quiver on my back. When I'm sure nothing glitched on me, I walk forward into the game, leaving the holding cell behind. It disappears behind me, evaporating into the air, leaving me exposed. I quickly flip my settings to explore mode, preventing me from losing any of my credits in the game. I can't engage with the people and earn items within the game, but I can walk around and talk to them. It's not something the game allows you to do for extended periods of time, but occasionally people use the setting to meet with their friends while they were in different locations so that the game gives them some leniency while we wait for people to show up. Now, I should have to figure out where the girl is. All right, guys. So that is the first chapter. Royce is just about to enter the game, or he is entering the game, and he's about to go looking for Rora. So in the next chapter, we get to meet our princess, who's kind of in charge of this game. Girlfriend has one of the highest scores, and she totally outranks him. And it's not going to be love at first sight. Let's just go with that. It is a very interesting meeting. And for those of you who haven't seen the fan art before, we've got the cute little jock and class president type looks in the real world, but inside the game, Royce wears this golden suit of armor. So does Alan. Alan has his own set of armor, so Alan's going to be entering the game at some point too. There's a little spoiler for you. And Rora, if any of you have watched Once Upon a Time, the TV show, and you are familiar with the evil queen, Regina, and all of her big fancy colored outfits, very much along those lines in terms of fashion for Rora. So I'm very excited for this. There's some really cool cosplays to do in fan art when it comes to this series. And I love, love, love the fashion I get to do inside of this virtual reality world. Victoria's jumping in to join us. Danielle says, I've got to fit this one into my 2021 reading challenge prompts. You do. It's such a good read. Jessica's jumping in saying, I love this book. I read it right after I got it from you at PenCon. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I had so much fun writing it, and my fans love it so much, they've asked me to turn it into a series. So you can see it's now labeled as book 1. There will be more books in this series coming as soon as I have a chance to write them. And we're actually going to take a look at different characters' perspectives. So assuming everybody survives, you will be seeing books from different characters' perspectives. So this one is written from Royce's perspective. So when he's not in the game, we don't see what's happening with Rora. But in upcoming books, we're going to focus on Rora's point of view. We're going to focus on Alan's point of view. We're going to focus on other people who maybe survived in this game. We're going to meet some interesting people in the upcoming books in this series, and I'm really, really excited about it. It's a short story, so it's not going to take you forever to read. It's a very quick read, easy read, but so much fun when it comes to this. If you've got questions, go ahead and drop those down below for me. We're going to stay on for just another minute chatting about this one, but I want to get your questions answered if you have them. And as always, we are here reading books, the first chapter of my books every single week. And now that we've kind of run out of my books, we may be reading some of my friends' books after I get permission because copyright infringement. And we're going to introduce you to some new and interesting books. So we do this every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern here on YouTube and on Facebook. And I love this book. This is actually one of the early ones I had written. And originally, this book was written for an anthology. And the person running the anthology didn't actually check to see what we were all writing. And somebody wrote a very, very, very similar book to mine. Neither of us knew. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't malicious, but it was very much a similar topic. So because I'm a fast writer, I volunteered to write something else for that one. And this one came out by itself. It was on the top of the charts, doing all the fun, fabulous things, and fans just absolutely love this one. So I'm kind of glad it didn't end up in that anthology and it got to come out on its own, which was so, so much fun. And I'm really excited and looking forward to writing more. Now, you will learn a bit about the digital dragons. Different colors mean different things, and different powers and different skills inside of this game. So you're going to meet some interesting things inside of this story, and I can't wait for you to jump in. You can actually go to vsbinfo.kmrobinsonbooks.com. It is linked in the comments for this to get your hands on a copy of this. It is available in both paperback and in ebook form, so you can check it out at your leisure. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, leave me a book review because it's super helpful to sell more books. Thank you all so much for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. I will see you today at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on the YouTube page for our live book cover creation. Are we doing dystopia? Are we doing paranormal romance? Are we doing contemporary cover? It's up to you. Come join me at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to build these covers together, and I'll see you next week for another live book reading. Until then, I hope you all have a great day and stay inspired. Bye, friends.